Welcome friends to another rSlash malicious compliance video. Today we've got some awesome stories, and our first story of the day is from Mr. Crash Override. Simple but funny DMV story. Several years back, it was a rainy, depressingly slow day. I think it was close to the holidays when everyone was busy at the mall. I stepped into my local DMV office about 15 minutes before closing. What made this even rarer was besides a few guests mulling about in a far corner by the testing area, waiting for test results or maybe a photo, I was the lone person waiting for assistance as there was absolutely no one waiting to be called. So I walked over to the long counter, caught some state employee's eye, and indicated that I needed help. She came up and asked if I had a number. "A number?" I said, as I looked around an empty lobby. She said, "Well, everyone has to have a number," and pointed off in the distance back to the entrance, towards an antique of an old clanking number printer. So I made the long walk back, waited for it to chug and grind and spit out a ticket. I then made the long walk back, standing several feet from the U-shaped set of windows, looking at the employees all gathered together gossiping. Finally, someone elbow nudged someone and announced there's someone in the lobby. They begrudgingly slowly walked over in that, eye roll of a slow walk every state employee does when they have to help a taxpayer. They reach their window and call a number out. I'm holding my number between my two hands like I've just heard the winning lottery number being announced with a big smile on my face and a pure look of glee. But as I look down, I see, darn, that's not my number. Giving a big disheartened scowl and shaking my head no, she clicks the button and calls out a new number. I get real excited again, my face lighting up, ticket raised up in front of my face. But alas, this too isn't my number. So my face sinks, and I look left and right, even looking over my shoulder as if to see and congratulate who actually got called. This went for 3, 4, 5 numbers. The sad government bureaucratic game they insisted must be played continued. Finally, she got all exasperated, loudly saying to me, "You're the only one, get up here." I responded without taking a step, "But you insisted I must have a number." I swear, she almost threw her stapler at me. See, I know OP said that it was almost 15 minutes to closing and whatnot, but where is this mythical, fabled, empty DMV at? Because Lord knows, every time I've ever been to the DMV, I imagine even if it was closing, they'd have to break out an industrial government shovel to actually shovel the people out the door. Has anybody out there actually seen an empty DMV? Or has everyone you've been to been at least marginally full? I'm legitimately curious, let me know in the comments. Our next story is from Daibe Flaw. What would a man know? Many moons ago, I worked in a department store. It was a weekend contract gig while I was at university. It had departments for a variety of things, and for no particular reason, I ended up in the basement on homewares. No grumbles from me. Money, even if it is minimum wage, is money. Work was easy and my team were awesome. The first week there, I recall someone saying, "Retail would be great if it wasn't for the customers." I was saddened. What a morose mentality to have for the place you spend most of your waking week. It took me a few years to figure out it was 100% true. The amazing customers absolutely do not outnumber or overshadow the monsters. One thing in retail I didn't realize was how amazingly helpful a good memory is. And believe me, back then especially, I had a phenomenal memory. We had to type in dissection codes and prices into a printer for barcodes and place them on stock. I very quickly got a reputation. See, most people would remember their specialty codes. They were 15 digits long. That's still good. A few seasoned, withered husks with manager name tags would remember a few other specialties codes. I had them memorized for the entire basement, 7 departments, hundreds of codes. They were formulaic per department, so once you remembered each department's formula, you just add the last 4 digits per dissection. After a while of being noted for this, I got moved from cook shop, global knives, Alessi teapots, etc., into home care electricals. Vacuums, pressure washers, and irons. You think a good memory is helpful for printing labels? I was like a walking thesaurus on that stuff. I didn't gloat, but colleagues would use me often. Quicker to get OP than go into the office and check the catalog or Google or something. Warranty info, user specs, power ratings, maintenance routines, all of it. And I enjoyed the prestige. I wasn't a jerk about it. I happen to be perfectly positioned to excel in this because of my memory. I would gladly help out people rather than salesperson them if I could. That 900 British pound machine, what would you use it for? Yeah, you can get that 100 pound machine instead. I didn't get commission, and I brought return customers who liked me helping them. People like a passionate teenage man helping them with all of the knowledge I could muster. One woman even wrote me a letter saying she would send flowers but didn't for fear of upsetting my wife if I had one. She was about 7 decades older than me, bless her heart, but I digress. Malicious compliance time. One day a woman came in. This was the 2000s, but by today's standards, a Karen. Instant hatred of everything and everyone. My job is to help customers, so her distaste for existence and pleasure for misery really mattered not at all. She's picking up various generator irons on the shelf, inspecting them and looking out of her depth. These things can be used in-home, and some of the models we stocked you could use professionally. They started at expensive and went up to crazy money. It was pretty normal that I would have to go through all of the specs for customers. If you're going to part with 249 pounds for an iron, you want to know what you're getting for your money. I get it. So I walk over to her to help. Anything I can help you with today, madam? She looks at me like I'm a fart that's just gotten into an elevator with her. I want to buy an iron. Way to state the obvious, but the customer is always right, so I smile and go on. What type of iron are you looking for? Are you using it at home or professionally? They say it's for me to use. I'm the woman of the household. Now, the way she stressed woman wasn't to gripe at her lot in life. It was more like when someone reminds you that this is their turf, their specialty, their baby. Hey, no problem by me. I'll see if I can help with that. I say no problem at all. This model here is normally used commercially and you can't access the water tank. Since it generates such a lot of pressure, you have to buy these CalStop cartridges to prevent limescale buildup. Otherwise, the machine can break and won't be covered by your warranty. The benefit is the dry steam boost function for doing dresses, curtains, etc. without soaking them. By comparison, this one has a cartridge water chamber, which is easier to manage. However, she says, yeah, can you give me a woman? Perplexed, I wonder what I said wrong. I needn't wait long to find out. She saw the look on my face and went on. It's just a woman really gets these things. You clearly wouldn't know. I'm chanting in my head, customer's always right, and managing my breathing to stay composed. No problem, madam. Allow me to get my colleague Doreen to help you then. Now, the department was built around a big pillar. Irons on the east face, vacuums on the south and west face, till and accessories on the north face. So I walked around the corner to the till and got Doreen to help this delightful woman who decided I didn't know what I was talking about. I headed around to the west face to cover vacuums. Not 2 minutes later, I hear Doreen heading towards me saying, honestly, you need my colleague. They are the absolute expert on irons and they know so much more about them than me. They'll be able to help you find the perfect iron. The woman's face as she realized it was me she was being brought to as the expert on irons was priceless. She fumbled a quick question on a Morphy Richards unit to justify coming back to me, and then quickly hit the escalator to get the heck away from the awkward she had generated. Hey, although they were being sexist in this situation, at least they called it quits when they were faced with a double down opportunity. Most situations where it's flipped and the guy's asking for a man, usually these stories have them doubling or tripling down, even like asking for a manager's manager if they have to. At least this lady seemed actually shameful. And our final story of the day is from Advanced Thanks 8821. You are new joiner, so shut up and just follow instructions, said my IT GM. Me, 32-year-old male, is having my job as an IT engineer at a small or medium enterprise retail company. The company IT department is just established around 2 years during that time. Previously, HR is the one managing the whole IT matter. In our IT team, we have 4 people. 1 head of IT, the GM, 1 assistant manager, 1 senior engineer, and me myself, an IT engineer. This story is between the IT GM, the senior engineer, and me myself. Since I'm new at the company, I was not given proper authority on using any IT system, like managing servers or the firewall. My main function is just supporting the user on daily PC issues. Managing the server and network fell to our senior engineer. Unfortunately, even though senior engineer is higher ranked than me, Unfortunately, his literacy in networking and server administration is very low. Previously, the senior engineer worked in the same company, a construction company, as GM. The previous job description of senior engineer was mainly involving laying and pulling fiber and network cable, which is more grunts work, not system administrator. I otherwise came from an MSP background, having experience in managing servers and networks. During my tenure there, at first all was usual, but one day I noticed that my senior engineer did something to our server environment, removing a crucial application for data processing. I tried to let my GM know, but unfortunately he thinks I'm not a team player since I straight away went to him instead of correcting my senior engineer. For the reader's information, I already tried reminding him of the implications of removing the software, but my senior engineer ignored my warning and continued with the removal. Since I was the one that managed to make the server work as usual, I needed to make RCA on this issue by our director, my boss's boss. I'm explaining in detail what happened and how I resolved this issue. Please bear in mind that due to this incident, it caused our server to not work for more than 3 days. This later made my relationship between the senior engineer and the GM become very bad. Later, after that incident, I'm being called by my GM and being reminded to just follow their instructions and never question them. Due to the fact that I simply remoted into the server and didn't follow their instructions and also don't have teamwork, my probation period was extended for 6 more months. This is where the interesting part happens. One day, my senior engineer makes a big screw up and causes both of them to be terminated on the spot. What happened is one day, our company server was being infected by ransomware. I had alerted them early since I first detected the abnormalities in our environment, but none of them responded to my messages. Since they also said that I can't remote to the server due to security policy, I just let the things do its job. Please remember that the last time I tried to fix the issue myself, the outcome was my probation being extended. So this time, I didn't do anything at all. Since both of them aren't from real IT backgrounds, they're really in a bind to resolve this issue. And after a week, they had tried everything to make the system working. They gave up and said to management that the system can't be restored. Actually, the system itself is very easy to be reinstalled and the database itself is very straightforward. Since I'm from an MSP background, I always thought ahead to make a backup for every system at least once a week. Since I don't have access to the server, I connect from the client application and I was still able to back it up. So I do a weekly backup from my machine without telling anyone from my team. Our company, due to the incident, incurred a high loss of money since the operation couldn't continue. Our director organized a meeting between all management and IT. During that time, my GM simply said that the data is lost due to ransomware. All of management were furious during that time, but suddenly my director asked me whether I can fix this issue. My GM simply said that I'm the new guy and don't have the capabilities on restoring the server. My director asked the GM to shut up and let me talk. I explained to them briefly I might be able to do a reinstallation of the system, but with 1 week of backdated data. This is because I'd only done the backup on my own initiative weekly. During that time, I can see my GM's face become red immediately. He questions me why I didn't tell him that I have the data backup. I reminded him that he was the one that told me not to interfere with this issue, and I reminded him that I need to extend my probation because I remoted without his approval into the server. My director asked me to restore the server. After 4 hours of configuring the server, I managed to get the server up again in operation, managed to run as usual. Due to this incident, my manager tried to get me in trouble, but since I simply just complied to their instructions and all the communication was done in black and white, which included his instructions to simply ignore this issue and continue to do my job supporting the users instead of me getting into trouble, my GM was fired from his position due to not doing his due diligence and getting proper IT security in place and still don't have a backup and not having any backup policy in the company. I'm still working with the company after 6 years past the incident, and I now have his position as GM. I'm willing to bet this was one of those guys who kind of faked it till they made it, kind of coasted along. Maybe they had some great people that were working there before them that could kind of right the ship and navigate things long enough for them to luck into that position, after which they're screwed and didn't hire any of the right people. Whatever it was, their true downfall was not hiring somebody that was dumb enough to not know what to do. They ended up hiring somebody that was just too smart for them and ran them out of their jobs and exposed them for being frauds. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. Now, if you want to hear another absolutely awesome compliance story, check out that video on the left. Or if you missed my latest video, check out the video on the right. That said, I'll see you all next time with some more stories.